I think we can start. A very good morning. My name is Ines Moyo. This morning I will be directing this program. And to do so, I want to start by recognizing our Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Zululand, Professor Mtose. I also want to recognize our DVC for Institutional Planning, Professor Chaka. I also want to recognize our DVC for Research and Innovation, Professor Gunene. I also recognize the Director of Research and Innovation, and all the protocol is observed. As the Director of Program, I wish to invite to the podium our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Mtose, to give us the welcome remarks. Thank you.
Program Director, Professor Moyo, distinguished curators, and Professor of Radiology and Physics, University of Missouri, Cancer Nanotechnology Platform, and guest speaker at today's launch event, Professor Katesh Kati, the Director of ANCROM, who is scheduled to speak later to the program for today, Mr. Dave Perret, the lead of the National Equipment Program at the NRF, Mr. Nathan In Sussman, our distinguished guests in our midst, especially from the industry, sector, and government. Deputy Vice Chancellors, Research and Innovation of University of Zululand, Professor M. Gunene, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Institutional Support, Professor Chata, Deans and Deputy Deans present, former Sachi Chair of Nanotechnology, a professor of Chemistry here at University of Zululand, Professor N. Hokusadu, the Director of Research and Innovation of University of Zululand, Professor Brown, Mr. Zwane, our ex-Nobala for convocation. You are welcome and appreciated, sir. Academic and non-academic staff and students, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you this morning. Good morning. It is with great pleasure, pride, and indeed pleasure that I stand here today to officially launch the opening of the High Resolution Transmission Electron Microscopy HRTEM Laboratory, a state-of-art facility here at the University of Zululand. The establishment of the HRTEM Laboratory marks a significant milestone in our journey towards advancing research and innovation as a university. The HRTEM Laboratory stands to serve as a catalyst for interdisciplinary collaboration in research and innovation. Science and technology thrive at the intersection of diverse fields, and the HRTEM Laboratory that we are launching today stands as UNIZULU flagship laboratory to bring together experts from various disciplines to work on projects that require sophisticated imagining and analysis. Laboratories play a critical role across various fields, serving as an essential environment for research and experimentation and analysis. There is a vast amount of evidence from studies which show that interdisciplinary work engagement sparks synergy that is crucial for innovation. Many of the most groundbreaking interventions and novel solutions in the world today arise from the synergy of interdisciplinary collaborations. It is my hope that this laboratory will not only support the work of University of Zululand researchers and research initiatives in one department or faculty, but will attract the work of the other world-class researchers and the students from other departments and faculties across the university and from other parts of the world and from industry who are eager to work with cutting-edge technology. I would like to place an emphasis on the aspect of industry-university collaboration in the use of the HRTEM laboratory. The core of the work of HRTEM laboratory is the identification and characterization of materials. The RBIDZ boasts a range of industries that are indeed material development and sample testing related services, and they must be a key target for collaboration within the university. The ultimate goal is to support of South African industries and the promotion of resources, benefication that can enhance industry growth and competitiveness. The microscope, by extension, the laboratory, being launched today, should be seen in a wider context of the university's strategic vision 2027. UniZulu Strategic Vision 27 prioritizes the identification, development, and transfer of technology to strengthen economic and social development in the immediate and wider communities. It places an obligation on the research community to inter alia drive growth in research and innovation in order to support economic development, transform communities, and build the standing and reputation of institution as a 21st century university. The microscope is a pivotal tool of trade in this research and innovation process because the investment is one of the main inputs for producing cutting-edge research and innovation. Without the HRTEM microscope, our researchers and students would not be able to develop nanomaterials or venture into the realm of nanoscience. The capability equips the university to address various national priorities in areas of health innovation, energy innovation, water innovation, the digital and circular economy, the manufacturing, agriculture and mining sectors, climate change and environment, among others. The microscope that is being launched gives UniZulu an added advantage in discovering new solutions to grand challenges in these areas and in creating normal and international interdisciplinary research collaborations, which is consistent with our strategic vision of the university. The addition of HRTEM's microscope to the stock of research equipment and infrastructure is also a significant landmark in the history of this university. Universities in rural contexts are usually thought as places without capabilities for advanced work in science and technology. The microscope comes at a time when the university will not only turn 64 years old, but have recommitted ourselves in our new strategy to provide an enhanced, digitally enabled teaching and learning research environment, conducive for our students to learn and practice. One of the primary goals of the institution is to improve the quality of education infrastructure and research capacity to ensure competitive and equitable education opportunities. Our students are at the advantage because the advanced equipment empowers them to explore, investigate, and discover in far more detail which supports active learning as emphasized in our strategic vision. Active learning exercises help students acquire the core concepts behind the techniques more effectively than standard classroom instruction. Honors, masters, and doctoral students get the opportunity to get hands-on experience with the sophisticated equipment. Prospective STEM students can no longer use access to modern laboratory to justify leaving this part of KZN province to go to other universities. The HRTEM laboratory is a testimony to our vision to enhance student learning experience. The journey to this day of launching the laboratory has been a long road with numerous high points, lessons, twists, and turns. The twists and turns and lessons can be foregrounded in Barton Clark's concept of organizational saga in higher education. Clark, 2008, often talked of the no sagas, that is semi-mythical but meaningful accounts of heroic events handed down to and elaborated by succeeding generations. He defined saga more prosaically in terms of collective memory or understanding. The saga, in these terms, not only shapes organizational forms and how they evolve, but more fundamentally still, the experience of being an academic in universities. It is this idea of a saga or a story, multifaceted and difficult to contain, but immensely powerful, that once can use the anchor of twists and turns in the journey of today's launch. Perhaps in future, the story of many twists and turns will be told as Sabbatarian echoes to illustrate what it takes or to become a true academic. I would like to commend the leadership of the Faculty of Agriculture and Engineering, in particular Professor Naresh Rapasadu, who stood front and center of the multiple twists and turns throughout the journey of today, for his grit and determination to see the laboratory to its completion. Your unwavering support, Professor Rapasadu, commitment and passion to work despite adversity, and to champion the cause for quality research and education, and preparing our postgraduate students to become elite researchers, epitomize the true essence of the University of Zululand values of teamwork, accountability, and pursuit of excellence. Your belief in our vision has been a hallmark of this journey. Ladies and gentlemen, until recently, Professor Naresh Rapasadu was the Sachi Chair of Nanotechnology, funded by the NRF. The HRTEM microscope that we are launching today was part of the resources that accompanied his chairship. Over the period, he has undertaken a number of groundbreaking research studies focused on sustainable energy solutions and characterization of nanomaterials, which I'm sure he will talk about later on in this program. Research on energy remains a top priority in the country and the wider Africa at large. The university thank you for driving this major research agenda over the years. Yes, we have appreciated you in various forums, but I feel it's important today to highlight your remarkable and quality work that you have produced for this university. In closing, it is my vision that this lab will continue to produce state-of-the-art research and innovation, respond to the needs of the society, give postgraduate students the best experience, and continue to shine as a beacon of Research Excellence at the University of Zululand. I thank you all for listening.
I think our VC deserves another round of applause. Thank you, VC, for this welcome. Two things came to my mind when the VC was doing the welcome about the HRTEM laboratory as a flagship development for the university and its capacity to unleash a synergistic relationship between the university and industry. Thank you, VC, for reminding us on that point. But most importantly, the VC amplified the importance of the HRTEM laboratory launched within the strategic plan of the university Vision 2027. In other words, the launch of this laboratory lends itself directly to the attainment of the strategic goals. Thank you, VC, for that reminder. It's most appreciated. At this point in our program, I wish to call up to the podium Professor Gunene to introduce our guest speaker. The floor is yours, Prof.
Professor Katesh V. Kati is globally recognized as the father of green nanotechnology. He is the Curator's Professor of Radiology, Director, Institute of Green Nanotechnology within the Medical School, University of Missouri in Columbia, USA. He is internationally renowned as a leader in the interconnecting field of chemistry, material science, radiopharmaceutical sciences, nanotechnology or green nanotechnology, and nanomedicine for biomedical applications, specifically for molecular imaging and therapy of living subjects. Prof. Kati has won the International Hevesi Medal Award, a global award for excellence in nuclear medicine, regarded as equivalent to a Nobel Prize in nuclear sciences. Prof. Kati is a pioneer in the field of nano-Ayurvedic medicine, a new medical modality which he has discovered by the application of nuclear analytical, radiochemical techniques and green nanotechnology to Ayurvedic holistic medicine. Several cancer therapy products and antibiotics discovered by Prof. Kati are currently used in treating human patients. For his groundbreaking discoveries in medicine, Prof. Kati has been awarded a number of international awards, recognitions, and citations. He has published over 300 publication reviews and book chapters, and is the principal inventor on over 150 inventions and over 50 patents. He has delivered over 500 inaugural or plenary invited lectures in 25 countries. Prof. Kati is a chief editor, editorial board member, or member of advisory boards of several internationally reputed peer review scientific journals. President Prof. Kati.
So, it's fine with you? Chancellor and Principal, Professor Matos, Professor DVC, Professor Kunini, Professor Nivish. I thank all of you and this entire institution for this opportunity. I can't describe the excitement as a scientist I have when you all have gathered here to inaugurate one of the finest capacity infrastructures that you all have purchased. And this capacity infrastructure, rest assured that it will stand the test of time in terms of faculty productivity, in terms of elevating the ranking of the institution, not just in South Africa, globally. Most importantly, these capacity infrastructures are required to translate research just from publications. That's not enough in the 21st century. The research has to lead to value-added products. That's the only way we can talk to our neighbors when they ask us, every day you drive a car to the university, what do you do there? You can't tell them I do research and teaching. We always do that. How about we told them, look, the water you're drinking, its purity we measure. Or if you fall sick, the medication that you'll be taking, by the way, is a product from our inventions. That should be our objective. So much of the emphasis of my talk today will swirl around that objective. Before I start, I just wanted to allude to all of you. There's an article this week. So much has been said about it on LinkedIn. It's a Nature article. What this article states, something extremely important for all of us, administrators, faculty, everybody, that in the modern era, we don't have enough time to innovate. It's a beautiful article in Nature. So whether it is the force by the funding agencies or the administration or belief that I need to be doing things faster than what I'm doing, all of that is adding to ultimately limited innovation in our modern research. So it really rang a bell in my own research. My administration, I was telling just before I left for South Africa, I was telling my president that, look, it has taken 35 years. I don't know how I got that freedom. I don't know how I got that ability to mix and match areas. Nobody came in my way. And nobody was asking me, it is taking a long time. But after 35 years, we have over 50 products in the market. We did not stop at publications. We did not stop at teaching. We have taken research all the way to translation. So this Nature article couldn't have come at a better time. That's what it is actually. It takes time. I don't mean that we need to develop a laid-back attitude. There has to be checks and balances, but with a solid capacity infrastructure, with a solid academic freedom, giving faculty a chance to fail, then they will succeed. Nobody should be looking at their shoulders. In the US, the system, I'm not here to brag the US system, but the system in the US is we give 6 years for faculties to fail. If they don't fail in 6 years, then they will succeed. That's how we do. Yeah. So with that, let me start just a brief disclosure. Much of the research I'm presenting has been licensed to companies, but I don't have any financial interests. We don't own stocks. We don't own part of the companies. These are purely investments from companies, and we deliver milestones, be it process development, product development, troubleshooting, all of that. Brief history about my school. This is the first university in the US west of the Mississippi. So has a tremendous history, over 185-year-old history. as you can see here, we tackle diverse problems because Missouri is a diverse state. From the southern Ozarks to the northern plains. We are Mizzou, that's our emblem, where black and gold runs deep, and Truman, the tiger, embodies our bold spirit. The only difference between this place and our place, we don't have live tigers. That's all I can see. So we have to come here to see the beauty of live tigers. Well, we also do things in a neat way. Those of you interested in making a career in Hollywood, consider joining us. So Brad Pitt was a student in our journalism department. I don't need to describe what Brad Pitt does and how he has been doing. So if you have intentions, your children, grandchildren, send them to us. You can send them to Hollywood. This is our track record. We are not Harvard, MIT, or Caltech. We don't need to be, including this university. A lot of students, they go to the professors. I'm sure Professor Nirish gets these interesting questions. How about I do a PhD or a master's in Caltech or MIT? Yeah, sure. Yeah, those are great institutions. No doubt about that. But you can bring that standard no matter where you are. That's something we have done. We have put more products for cancer therapy, cancer diagnostics in the market for human care compared to MIT, Stanford, and Harvard put together. Think about that. We are no different than what you are. University of Missouri is kind of our place is a flyover zone. It's not a landing zone. Generally, for you people, landing zones are east and the west coast. You normally fly across the states. And our university, our town is somewhere in between. But we have made an impact. We have made an impact because administration believed empowering faculty with the right kind of tools and allowing them to take risks. One day it will lead to the kind of success what we are having. I'm very pleased to be here to tell the administration and faculty, it is possible. If we have done it, you can do it. And why is this so important? One is it allows us to be accountable for taxpayers' money. Secondly, there's a vested selfish interest. The kind of revenues you generate from patent royalty, oftentimes you might not need government funding to run your institutions. That's the power of intellectual property. That has got to be embraced. If it is not done so far, it's never late. I would strongly suggest embark on intellectual property-based research and encourage faculty in that direction. One size doesn't fit all, not everybody is interested in that, that is fine. But the institutional emphasis through rewards, not just for publishing papers. If somebody gets a patent issued from the US or South Africa, develop a reward system that can have long-standing positive impact on the campus. Well, this is what you're doing today. You bought an instrument which we bought a few years ago. It's one of the very best. It doesn't matter which company makes it. They're pretty much of similar standards. We built this building, next-gen building. We have 8 microscopes doing different things. I'm just focusing on HRTEM. Your instrument perhaps is looking something similar. And these are the kind of information you get. You may not be able to quite count the atoms, but you're almost there. So in science, regardless of science and engineering, regardless of whether you're, what kind of field you're pursuing, getting to the level of atoms is the ultimate. And these microscopes allow us to do that. We can understand the crystal lattice. We can understand what is the level of coating. Of course, we can understand the nanoparticle identity in ways no other instrument can tell you. Now you can see your faculties, if they don't have this tool, everything is scary. The experimental science, to assume something that I have something in my bottle, doesn't make any sense in the 21st century. You've got to see it. You've got to interpret based on what you have seen. This is the power of your instrument. You can see the beautiful crystal light is. I'm sure Dr. Neerish is already publishing in high impact papers, but you only look at the highest impact factors, he and his colleagues, now onwards. But I would also urge, with this capacity infrastructure, go beyond the publication stage. See what you can do. Once you see a particular crystal light is, does that make any sense to the band gap? Does that make any sense to how much is coated? What is the corona? How the corona is going to impact in terms of the interactions of nanoparticles with the surface atoms and what is coated and all of that. I don't have much time today, but I'm going to skim through a few slides. I will only stop at some of them. This just to give you an outline of what we are doing. This slide shows a very busy slide. We do a lot of different things in our labs. We do food science, we do medical research, we do some of our science and technology. Our investors are using to develop next generation cosmetics, and something smart, something that is applicable to all of us here today. Okay, you might be wondering, medicine is not my field, but there is something that helps all of us today. I will discuss that to start with. This is a sugarcane growing region of South Africa. If I said that, that is only an understatement. Why did this slide come about? Why am I showing this slide? I'm showing this slide because from sugarcane, as you can see, you produce a polymer. It's called as polyhydroxybutyric acid, this one. And it's a direct byproduct of molasses or bagasse. And why is this important? From this polymer, you produce this, a monomer, a small molecule. It's called as hydroxybutyric acid. Just look at the two statements here. You have two chemical structures, hydroxybutyric acid and glucose. If we consume 100 grams of glucose, which we generally do, we produce 10.5 kilograms of adenosine triphosphate in the body. ATP is the source of energy for our body that allows us to walk, allows us to run, allows us to do all the chores that we do. The same 100 grams of this hydroxybutyric acid, which is a byproduct from molasses, it produces 100 grams of glucose produces 8.7 kilograms of ATP. The same 100 grams of hydroxybutyric acid produces 10.5. So the difference is 10.5 to 8.7. You might be wondering, there is some difference, it's not significant. But it's very significant, my friends, because glucose consumption, as all of us know, leads to increased blood glucose levels in the body. What happens? It leads to diabetes. There's an astronomical increase in diabetes population across our planet. Diabetes leads to heart disease, kidney failure, brain disorders, so on and so forth. Whereas this humble byproduct from sugarcane, it produces more energy than glucose, but does not contribute to blood glucose levels. If you consumed 100 grams of this, before consumption and after consumption, measure your blood glucose levels, there will not be a change. You get all the energy for the rest of the day. And we have launched this product in the US. The company came to us. They came to us because they wanted to enhance the bioavailability of this. We used nanotechnology to enhance that. We have launched it. We are very excited to set up a plant here. right here in this town perhaps, if you all meet with the sugarcane growers, if they agree to produce polyhydroxybutyric acid, we'll launch the plant here, respectively. Because in the US at least, it's all ketosis. Everybody, you know, youngsters, mid-age, old people, it's all about ketone products. The health benefits of ketone products are enormous. So something for the administration, something for the faculty to keep in mind, knock the doors of the sugarcane growers. We can create a significantly better economic avenue for them while improving the health of the local region and nationally. I'm just going to go through a few slides. Medicine, which is taught all across the world, it's almost a buzzword. Every day we use medicine as a term in our lives. The term medicine actually started about 5,000 plus years ago in India. I'm sure around the same time span, medicine was discussed here in the African continent. 5,000 years later, what is happening? There is a medicine, Western medicine, English medicine, which is only about 250 years old. The general terminology is the Indian medicine or African medicine are referred to as alternative medicines, although they gave the concept of medicine to the planet. So medicine did not start from the Western Hemisphere. Medicine actually started in India and in Africa, to some extent in the Middle East. Less than 1% of global population used that medicine, which was discovered 5,000 years ago. In the Indian literature, dating back to 5,000 plus years, Shushruta is the name of the person who, as well as Charaka, they were the inventors of medicine in India 5,000 plus years ago. The question is, if they were discovered 5,000 years ago, why is it that only less than 1% of the global population use them? Very important question. There are powerful scientific problems associated with this modality. People are not able to provide proper doses. People don't know the mechanism. But if you ask across the world, WHO has done that, what is their preference? The local population, so Africa, India, South Africa, wherever it is, they prefer to swallow this traditional Ayurvedic or African medicine because they're plant-based and it feels good to the body. They don't want to swallow chemical-based Western medicine. But we are not there yet. We are not there because this bridge which should have been built between African, Chinese and Indian medicine with the Western medicine, this bridge has been broken for a long time. This bridge is important because the doctors, when they see a patient, doctors should have that luxury of prescribing, co-prescribing Western medicine with the Eastern medicine, Ayurvedic, Chinese or African medicine. They're not able to do that because there is no scientific rationale, no powerful scientific rationale to these modalities. So what happens? Now we're putting all eggs in the same basket. Recent pandemic is an example. Why millions of people died? Because we didn't have the luxury of several different medications. We all depended on one type of medication, which is the Western medicine. Had we had the luxury of alternative, several different types of medicine, we could possibly have saved these human lives. And by the way, I hate to say this is not the last pandemic. Yeah, we hope that this is the last pandemic, but science tells us that this will never be the last pandemic. So we need to get ready. We need to build this bridge. So let's see how we can build that bridge. For us to build that bridge, we need to look at what are the problems with this modality which has existed 5,000 years ago. And this modality actually treats asthma, cancers, muscular weakness, heart conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, and many diseases and disorders. It's very interesting. singular formulations have the ability to treat multitudes of diseases. That's not the philosophy of Western medicine. Western medicine is about having 1,000 different drugs to treat 1,000 different body parts. But the Eastern medicine, Indian, African, and Chinese medicine, once administered into the body, they give the body the strength to fight the disease. They immunomodulate the body. Western medicine is symptomatic. So I'm not trying to criticize, but the time has come to look, introspect into what existed prehistoric times and inject science into that and see whether we can make it work. The problems with African and Indian medicine, reproducibility of formulations. This is a big, big problem. Much of the formulations are kept a family secret. You can't develop modalities if it's a family secret. Products made in South Africa, one should be able to produce them in the US or India or Brazil, everywhere. But that's not possible because these are family secrets. Undefined dosimetry. Nobody knows. Each doctor has his own dose. It's not based on age, it's not based on weight. And extremely high toxicity, particularly most of these medications, African Indian medicines, they hit the kidney very hard. And kidney toxicosis kills human lives. That's very rampant, that's really happening. And we don't know the mechanism. If something is working in the 21st century, it's not enough to treat a disease. We need to know what is the mechanism. If we know the mechanism, we can design even improved drugs. Okay, knowledge creation is vital. We have taken this very interesting reverse engineering pathway. Lot is known about this Ayurvedic medicine. They originate from herbs, from different plants. They mix those plant cocktail with mineral formulations, metals. Then they have been treating patients. This has been happening. It happens even now. Although people have to be careful. When they go to an Ayurvedic doctor, what he or she is prescribing is an important question. But we borrowed some of the knowledge base from here and then developed our own formulations. We decoded what was done 5,000 years ago, developed our own formulations. Once we developed the formulations, we checked the reproducibility. When we did that in the US, we sent the recipe to Brazil, we sent it to India, asked our folks to see if they can reproduce. Once they were able to reproduce, then we said that this is industrially feasible. Then we did the animal studies to understand the mechanism. Then we defined the dose. Once everything looked good, we went back to the humans, started treating human patients. Now we have predictable clinical outcomes, which was not the case with these Ayurvedic medicines. The clinical effectiveness of Ayurvedic, or to some extent African medicines, at best can be described as anecdotal. The reason there is so much that is unknown. You've got to know every step of the way in order to develop that predictive outcome. Now we are able to do that. So I'm not going to show you all the mechanisms and all of that today, but I'll just show you the genesis of this new medical modality. What we do, what we stumble rather in our labs, almost 2.5 decades ago, Dr. Neerish knows, Dr. Malik knows, several of you who are working in nanotechnology are quite aware, when you have to produce nanoparticles of metals, you need to interact metallic precursors, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, with chemical reducing agents. You have to inject electrons in high oxidation state metals and produce nanoparticles. That's not a rocket science. Every company does that. That's how people purchase their nanoparticles. What we discovered, we don't have to use chemical reducing agents as sources of electrons. We discovered that various different plants abundantly available within this region Africa being the biodiversity hotspot, there are lots of plants here. I'm just showing representative examples. The tea leaves, mango, peel, grape clouds, and the list goes on. We have scanned about over 350 different plants. What we discovered is that there are enough electrons in tea leaves, enough electrons in the skins of grapes. There are abundance of electrons in the skins of mango. Nobody, when we consume tea or mango, we never thought that we were consuming electrons. Yes, we do consume electrons. We drink tea, we all drink tea because it tastes well, but in the body, tea goes and neutralizes those bad free radicals. That's why drinking tea makes you look young, keeps you healthy. Likewise, all of these plants, actually, they're called antioxidants. So we use the antioxidant capabilities of different plants, interacted them with gold salt, gold precursor, and then produce gold nanoparticles. It all sounds like a laboratory curiosity. Some grad student makes something, you got nanoparticles. Is it really science? Yeah, it is a science. Every single one of these processes has been scaled up to industrial levels. As we speak, these particles are produced in several different companies, used for medical, cosmetics, electronic chip, and varieties of applications. It is very much good. And it's very important, we are talking about global warming. There is no toxic byproduct in this process. Whether you make 1 liter or 1,000 liters or 100,000 liters, no gas comes out. Typical companies who are manufacturing these particles for global applications, the size of those manufacturing facilities are not bigger than this hall. Think about that. Yeah, but you don't need special equipment. You do need special equipment for characterization, something like HRTEM, what you have. So this was a revelation to start with. Even the best of our friends did not believe it, so we made them repeat it. BBC had a program 2011. They came to our labs, so they didn't believe it when we published. Then they came and then did a shooting of the production using tea leaves, production of gold nanoparticles using tea leaves. So we have lots of patents. I think we have the maximum number of green nanotechnology patents in the world. Our students enjoy it, our investors enjoy it. It's an important and powerful feat. Now, just want to clarify one important point here. Nanotechnology, I'd be preaching to the choir if I described applications of nanotechnology to the country. Neerish and Dr. Malik, they are doing stellar work in this university with international reputation and so forth. In medicine, nanotechnology is revolutionizing the way we detect diseases, the way we treat diseases. It's a whole different domain. Why? Just look at the last paragraph. I want to read it out. Medicines as small as 1 millionth of a meter across may not be able to squeeze through the walls of blood vessels. When I say blood vessels, it can be normal vessels or tumor cells, but much smaller nanomedicines or nanoparticles can burrow deep into tumor cells, which means nanomedicine drugs go straight inside the tumor cells, as shown in that picture. We didn't have this concept. Even now, vast majority of the drugs sold in the market, they don't get into the cells. They just get into the body. Maybe there's a chance that only a tiny fraction of the drug will get into the cells, which means we are given a large excess of a particular drug than that is actually required to treat diseases. That would lead to systemic toxicity. Lots of cancer patients, as we are speaking here, they die not so much out of the disease. They die because of the toxicity of the drugs. So, if we can develop drugs that are specific to tumor cells and they can get into tumor cells, we can reduce the dose, make the therapy more effective. That's exactly what nanotechnology does. But Nilesh, how much time have I can run into several slides quickly?
Yeah, you go to about 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay. I'll just show the process how we go about doing it. We choose a particular plant based on its plant physiology. We talk with plant physiologists. We want plants that have a list of antioxidants, very powerful electron reservoirs. Then we do LC-MS, MS. Then we interact those plant extracts with metal precursors, produce nanoparticles. And particles are fully characterized by surface plasmon, by TEM. Then we challenge those nanoparticles with all the body fluids. If the particles are stable, the plasma resonance remains constant, as shown here. If the particles are unstable, this peak will shift somewhere here, then we decide that this is not the ideal candidate to go to the next step. Once the stability is established, this is another example. This was early years when we showed, this is exactly what was telecast in BBC. We showed tea leaves producing particles and so forth. This is another example, mango leaves, mango skin contains this very fantastic phytochemical. If you look at the structure of the phytochemical, it has a polyphenol, it has the glucose. Extremely important to have this glucose because tumor cells, they know one thing very well. They metabolize glucose better than anything else. So if our drug contains glucose, it directly goes to the tumor cells. And we didn't do this. Nature does that so beautifully. Mango skin, by the way, contains this medicine, phytochemical, which is an anti-cancer agent, cardioprotective agent, anti-diabetic agent, plus many, many benefits. But the mango pulp, my friends, has only glucose. By eating mango pulp, we raise blood glucose levels and become unhealthy. And what is it we have been doing? We are tossing the mango peel out, eating the most unhealthy part. Yeah, it's important to consider changing eating habits. Yeah, only the monkeys are smart. They eat everything. Yeah, they don't need to go to the doctor. So the particle production happens. It's a very specific redox process. The corona development by those phytochemicals. These phytochemicals have affinity to tumor cells. These particles, we also produce the radioactive nanoparticles because we want to know where the drug goes, how much it localizes, so that we can design the doses and so forth. We do the animal studies. These are the control group of animals where the tumor keeps growing, different doses. You can see that the tumor is completely arrested. Then we do a dark field microscopy to visualize if these particles are really going into the tumor cells. Yeah, as you can see here, there's an abundance of particles in the tumor cells. Then we do blocking studies to make sure that what we see, these particles in tumor cells, is not accidental. We call it as a blocking study. It's a tumor biology concept. I'm not going into the details, but it's sufficient to tell all of you that these are tumor specific. These particles are not going into the tumor cells by accident. They're going because they know they have the sense of direction. Then we do more animal studies, very fantastic tumor arrestation based on doses. This is the control group. Again, remember, these are particles produced from mango peel extract, interacting with gold salt, very humble process. You can call it as, it is not that sophisticated. But that's what our ancestors were doing without knowing that they were really handling nanoparticles. Now we know that they were handling nanoparticles, both in Africa and India and Egypt. They were having nanoparticles in their cocktail. Yeah, more efficacy studies. These are all the studies, not going to spend too much time. These studies are called immunomodulation studies. The medications from our ancestors, they did not treat symptoms. They treated the whole body. Very profound. Why did we deviate from that concept to current day concept? It's mostly because of capitalism. That's a talk for a different day, that's a discussion for a different day. But the point is, these medications, nanoparticles embedded with phytochemicals, once they are in the body, they modulate the body, they give the strength to the body to fight the disease. That's the beauty of these medications. There are numerous examples. They target the spleen because there are splenic macrophages. Again, a proof that this is immunomodulation. It is not chemotherapy. It's a whole body treatment. More examples. They target the macrophages, which means a macrophage in any tumor is like an engine of a locomotive. For you to stop the locomotive, you can't just pull the last compartment. You have to stop the engine. And cancer drugs, what we use in a number of different countries, they do not target the engine. They do not target the macrophages. Whereas the gold nanoparticles encapsulated with these phytochemicals, they target the macrophages, control the tumors, and once they control the tumor is completely gone from the body. More examples, more immunomodulation, just so that you know, the classic definition of immunomodulation, what we believe in modern science, we have done every aspect of that to show that these modalities are immunomodulatory. Human clinical trials in triple negative breast cancer patients. Pre-treatment, this was the tumor burden. 90 days after treatment, this was the tumor burden. About 10% reduction. But the regulatory agency told us, why don't you co-inject an FDA-approved product, which is doxorubicin, along with our product. That's what we did. So we see about 10% reduction. You might say, oh, it's not a whole lot. You should really compare this. Another set of patients, they were treated only with the FDA-approved product. They did not get our product alongside. Pre-treatment, this was the tumor burden. Post-treatment, if you look at, the tumors doubled, tripled, or quadrupled. So you should be comparing this tumor burden with this tumor burden, self-explanatory. The therapy works, again remember, triple negative breast cancer patients, they have only one direction, all of us know. They have 1 week to a few weeks of life, of survival. And we saved every single patient in this clinical trial. In this chemotherapy, we lost lots of patients. So this is ongoing. I just showed breast cancer, but we have treated scores of different human cancers. One last aspect I will touch base, then I will stop. This research was ongoing during COVID times. We produced silver nanoparticles through this process. We used this very interesting gum arabic. Africa is the largest grower of this protein, plant-based protein. And when we encapsulated gum arabic on silver nanoparticles, if I didn't tell you that these are silver nanoparticles, you'd be thinking that these are those spike proteins from COVID virus. No, these aren't spike proteins. These are gum arabic encapsulated on silver nanoparticles. We used this to treat COVID because we hypothesized that this gum arabic will go and bind the spike proteins. Once the gum arabic establishes protein-protein interaction with spike proteins of the virus, then these particles which are inside will make their way into the viral machinery and destroy the virus. That was a hypothesis. That's how scientific research always starts. Lots of mechanisms are there, not going to get into the details. I want to show you. It does work exactly the way we hypothesized. These particles go and bind the virus, and they saturate the spike proteins on the surface of the virus. Once you saturate the surface, then these spike proteins have no ability to go and interact with the proteins on the normal cells. So this is how the mechanism, this is how it works. And if you're wondering, what is the efficacy? The efficacy of these particles treating COVID-19 in patients exceeds significantly compared to any vaccine known to date. And we have treated millions and millions of COVID patients. It's not limited to COVID. It is a broad spectrum antibiotic. Worked exceptionally well for COVID. And as I said, the mechanism is once the virus enters the normal cell, it liberates lots of virions, and that's how the disease spreads. However, once you saturate the viral membrane with nanoparticles, it takes away the ability of that virus to go and bind with the proteins of the normal cell. And that is the mechanism, and it worked very well. Toxicity was not an issue. One can take up to 100 ml of these silver nanoparticles per day with no systemic toxicity. So, just wanted to show what I have discussed today is basically what I should say. We're still at the bottom of the mountain. That mountain with all the goodies reside here in Africa. The biodiversity hotspot is here. Green nanotechnology for cancer therapy, arthritis, antibiotics, antivirals has tremendous implications. We have shown it is doable, but this needs to be implemented globally. And part of my mission through the US Department of State in this trip is to propagate this real science. It's not mixing some cocktail of herbs with the metals, no. It's a very systematic science, as systematic or perhaps even more systematic than the modern medicine what we are used to. So Africa, in my opinion, holds the future. You sit on of course you all sit on a gold mine. There is a more attractive gold in terms of the phytochemicals from plants. So with that, I'm going to tell all of you that we have built this bridge now. Doctors are co-prescribing Western medicine with nano-Ayurvedic medicine. The journey has started. We still need lots of people to be traveling on this bridge. And I'm very happy to, particularly for the administrators, you give a chance to the faculty, invest in them properly, then they can make the impossible possible. In the United States Patents and Trademarks Office, we got this first acronym, first name approved last year. Nano-Ayurvedic medicine is a new modality. I tell people, how did this happen? I tell them, it took about 35 years. And also there is something for faculties. We always get attracted going to another institution because the weather is good or my friends are there, but you've got to stick around in one place. Yeah, I'm not trying to tell faculties, healthy turnover is always good, but being at one place, developing a field has tremendous implications for the institution, for the taxpayers, for individual faculty. One last thing I want to tell you, there is a selfish interest in patenting. Most institutions, Madam Vice Chancellor, I'm sure it is here, when we bring in $1 million through patent licensing fees, 1/3 of that goes to my bank account. We don't do research for money, but there is also that advantage. So that's how we have lured our faculty. If you want to publish and retire, that's one thing. But think about it. If you think your discovery has implications in product development, go several steps, patent it, license the patent to companies, investors. There is so much. And institution gets to keep the rest. So it's a real source of money. And it's not a one-time happening. Every year, every other year, you can keep licensing technology. I think I've taken way too much time. I have some conclusions. But while questions are being asked, I just want to go through this one, the series of products we have put in the market. I thought it is a coexistence of fundamental research with economic development. It is very vital. We as faculties, we have that responsibility. When we use taxpayers' money, it's not just for teaching and research. we got to give something back to society. So we have put lots of products in the market through our companies, cosmetics, medicines. Those who are interested in the details, they can approach me later. But these are products sold globally, all started from labs as small as what you have. And if we are able to do it, I can guarantee you that you all will be able to succeed, or you might be able to do even better. With that, again, I would like to thank all of you. Dr. Neerish, I know I took a little bit more time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Kati, for this deep chemistry and nanotechnology stuff. But there's two things really that I picked up, about the HRTEM laboratory as capacity infrastructure, in terms of human capital development and also unleashing, the research potential. I understood that. But also the other important thing that came to mind when you were presenting was taking research into translation. That for me was important. And this leads us to the next segment in this program to talk about the background and the use of the machine. But maybe before we get to that point, and that's when I'm going to call upon Prof. River Prasadu. But maybe before we get to that point, I thought that we could have, someone with a question, and I will allow that, so that, we can have a discussion on this presentation.
Sure.
Colleagues, do we have, I'll allow one or two questions at this point before we can proceed.
Any questions, comments? Yes, yeah.
What is the gold salt? The gold salt.
Gold salt.
Yes.
It is a water-soluble form of gold. Gold salt is produced from metallic gold. So metallic gold does not dissolve in water. So we convert metallic gold into something that becomes soluble in water. We call that gold salt. Yeah. And it is actually more expensive than the metallic gold. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
I think towards the end you talk about the uptake of patents in the US and how much revenue you are making from the uptake of patents and so on.
Yeah.
Maybe my question is maybe to say what sort of relationship you have with the industry, because here industry is less excited about taking patents. We struggle to match our work with industry in some cases.
Yeah, it's it's not a complicated process to start with. Once your faculties have developed a patentable discovery, the institution has to work with patent lawyers, file a patent. Once you have filed a patent, you send that protected technology to industries, not just in Africa, all across the world. Actually, the industries will come and knock your door. In the past, it was what we were saying, that they didn't believe what was happening on campuses as important. Not anymore. They know, industries know, institutions have a better leverage in the discovery process because of the freedom and just because of the ecosystem. In industries, you have to be in a structured way. That's the article in Nature I was referring to. If you structure the scientists, more and more structured process, the brain will not think in an innovative way. But the campuses have that ecosystem. So, once the patent is filed, patent office will send out the brochure of different technologies from your university. There are also tech transfer conferences where you want to display your technology. Yeah. Yes.
So sorry, through Chair. Your investors, where are they from? Are they from the US or from other
Our
parts of the world?
Yeah, our investments have come from Europe, US, India. Some of my faculties have investments from China. I think there are a couple of investments from Africa also. Yeah, it's a very vast investment base, and all it takes is one spark. If Nerish gets a company interested in his work, the news will spread. Then companies will come and knock your door. We have something exciting that we can license. So that's the way it is.
So just to follow up, would the like the machine, the HRTEM, that will help in validation of your work and
Yes.
things like that, if it contributes to that?
Yes.
You get the return on the investment on the machine as well?
Oh,
Yeah.
no doubt about that. That's music to me. Investments in machinery is important for publications, which are important, but they're exceptionally more important when you're trying to translate your research for product development. Because you have to show you have used cutting edge tools to convince the companies, to convince the investors. Yeah.
Morning, Prof, and thank you very much. As a 62-year-old, I've got all those problems you showed there.
No,
So
you're
I'm
not
very,
old.
Very excited.
You're
that
significantly younger than me. I'm not going to disclose my age.
I've got no problem with disclosure. I work in government, so we have to be transparent. Prof, you obviously have the scars of the success now that you are experiencing. So the colleagues here are probably, arguably, at ground zero. So what are the 5 things you would say to them as you now venture on this new road?
Yeah.
What are the 5 things that you should do
Yeah.
and not do?
Yeah, great question. I'll tell you, I presented a rosy picture. The real picture can be pretty ugly. Because that is research. Okay, that's why that nature article is important. Give time a chance. So out of 100 experiments, if one of them partially works, not completely working, in our definition it is a grand success. But imagine going through those 100 experiments every day in the evening, going home with a long face, facing your wife, facing husbands and children. It's not easy. Yeah, that's why it's very ugly. But perseverance pays off. Yeah, don't just brush off that something did not work. Something should not work in research. If something is working the first shot, there's something unusual about it. Okay? So perseverance is important, and also creating that ecosystem by the administration. I'm not saying that having too many faculties, unproductive faculties, is not good for anybody. But as long as those faculties are doing the right thing and clicking the right buttons at the right point of time, success will be collateral. It will always be there. I can tell you out of my own life. Yeah. And shifting fields, that's called as the risk taking, never be risk averse. Okay, don't worry about the neighbors. You're doing something, suddenly you change, they might think you're not doing anything. Yeah, if you believe that that's the right thing to do, go ahead and work on that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. Katish. Now I wish to call upon Prof. Sadan.
Thank you, Program Director, Madam Vice Chancellor, distinguished guests. Prof. Kati has made it a bit easier for me to chat and talk about what I was going to say. You see the slides are planning together, but we'll see what I mean. Okay, so it's been a long time coming for this point in our research and our institution. Many people wouldn't know that we are a very young department and a young research facility institution. Prior to 2000, if I remember in my department, students were not encouraged to do honors. And the reason being, it was very strange, many of the faculty thought that they were not, worthy of honor, and that we didn't have the talent for students to do honors. So really, after 2000, when the NRF invested in the institution and when we changed over governments in '94, the department started and we began a postgraduate program. So the postgraduate program in chemistry and in all other departments I feel only started in 2000. So we are really a very young university. When we compete with UCT and when we compete with Stellenbosch, in our year when we apply for grants, this should be taken into account that we really are, we're catching up and we are judged, as being equal, but we started at a very low, behind time. So to have this machine, this HRTEM, and doing nanotechnology, doing science that's regarded as cutting edge, and to have all the equipment and the tools to do the work, did take a lot of effort and a lot of commitment from the management throughout the years to actually reach this point. So this is the pinnacle, I would say, in my career, in my field, to be able to use this tool. So I used to do a talk for being motivating yourself, and every time you have to motivate sometimes your own self. And so to be successful in research, what does it take? You will need considerable resilience, and that's the theme of Prof. Kati's talk, is that things always take longer than you think. And you will always have obstacles and always have things that will make you not believe in it, but you have to always move on. You need to be persistent. You have to explore all possibilities and funding streams. So without money, you cannot do research. You need to have funding. And so young faculty, young emerging researchers should be aware of this. And don't take it personally if you apply and you don't get the funding from NRF. It's not personal. It is something that we are all used to it. But that should not stop you. So in terms of this machine, I have the chair in 2007. I was awarded the chair. And I think for many people, and I'll say this in the best possible way, that I don't think many people realize that the chair would be successful, or it would, we got the chair, being at Unizuru, but I'm sure there were doubts. And so we did prove the doubters that they were wrong. But it started, the application for the instrument started around 2011. Actually, I think the fourth DVC was, from the time we started. So we were unsuccessful twice, and I think the third time we got lucky. And so here we are, 10 or so years after the initial application. So just some background on microscopy. I thought for those that are non-scientists or not in the field. The first microscope was developed in around 1906 by Ernst Ruska and Max Knoll, and they did receive the Nobel Prize in physics for that discovery in 1986. But when we talk about nanotechnology, we always go back to the lecture by Feynman in almost 40 years later, when he made this famous prediction at Caltech that we would be able to manipulate matter at the atomic level. And he challenged, he had set aside two challenges, that we should develop tools to manipulate the atoms. And that was achieved in around '89 when the IBM label was printed using HTM, where we were able to move atoms. And through the development of electron microscopy, that we have moved away from basic tools to more sophisticated and high level instrumentation, which allows us to see the atoms and to manipulate and visualize them. So this is our electron microscope. I just wanted to give you a sneak preview. They've inherited here 10 million rand in our pockets, and we ended up unfortunately going over our budget, almost double, but we managed to get one of the best machines around. So this is the high-end HRTEM, which is a Joule 200, and the main principle behind the microscope is that it uses a beam of electrons, unlike your optical microscope, which uses light. So in using the beam or using electrons, we have an electron generator, which has to be housed in a vacuum, and so it's very, very complicated in trying to operate the machine. But we have Dr. Masikane, who was trained, and we will train more students and more faculty to use the microscope. So it's a very sophisticated and high-end equipment that requires lots of training and lots of high-end skills. So just to get the Saatchi chair that ended in 2022, so we were, I think, somehow graded as being the 6th best performing chair in the country. We graduated 20 PhDs, 13 masters, 220 peer-reviewed articles, 35 book chapters, 6 books, 2 patents, and we have leveraged funds through various other instruments. And this all shows up in your Google Scholar, because that's how we are graded in terms of how we present ourselves internationally, and you can see the H-index and citations, which is also a measure of impact, which also then resulted in RF rating, which is another way of grading your quality. So the take-home point here is that we have 2 patents, so we need to move further, and as Professor Patti said, publications are not enough, and we shouldn't focus only on publications. I think applied research that will benefit greater society has to be in the forefront of what we are doing, and we have the base, and we have the skills, and we need to take things up a level or 2 higher in terms of applications. So this is, I'm not going to take too much of your time. This is our broad focus area. We use chemistry to make materials. So the chemistry part is the precursors, which we make in the lab, and then from precursors we can then obtain anisotropic materials, layered materials, semiconductors. We use different synthetic methodologies, and obviously once we have our materials, we should apply them, and we namely apply them in water splitting to generate hydrogen. That's hydrogen generation and energy generation, and we can also use them to store energy in terms of batteries and supercapacitors, and we can also apply them in photocatalysis and in drug delivery. So these are methodologies. So we use our precursor, we break it down, we use a melt method, which is a high temperature method, or we can put them in a solvent, which is a thermolysis method, or coat them onto a surface, which is CVD, or spin coat them. And once we done that, we can characterize them. So these are old images, not on our microscope, but on work that we've done to our collaborations. So this is lead sulfide, which gives you nice lattice fringes and good morphology. This is bismuth sulfide, zinc selenide, and so forth. And then the big hype in the field is on 2D, two-dimensional materials. So these are layered structures. So we've done work on tin sulfide. We've done work on silver sulfide using nanosheet precursors. This is unpublished work, which will be published soon. Tin selenide. So these are 2D materials. These are not nano in size. They are more larger surface area, which is useful for catalysis. And then some examples of work on gold, which Prof. Kati showed his images, and we've done work also on gold using gold salts, but not very green. We used chemicals to reduce it, not the plants. So this is, we have a patent on this work, which is on gold zinc telluride nanomaterials inside, moving into the cell. As you can see, there's a cell, and you can see the nanomaterials that are entering the cell. This work was done a few years ago. This is a machine that we have now, which we've used as a collaboration, so we can map the images, or map the gold, and map the metals that we have in the core shell structure using the machine. And this is work on our new microscope recently. So this is again our work on 2D materials. We're working on bismuthine and antimonine. This is SE, and it's similar to graphene. So with selenium extraction, we can form bismuth nanosheets. Just as advice from Prof. Kati, I think maybe we should not publish it, we could patent it, because bismuthine may be an important material in the future for energy. So all of that has led to work in high impact factor journals. So we publish mainly in the top 10% of journals, mainly ACS, American Chemical Society, or RSC, Royal Society of Chemistry, or Elsevier, or widely. So these are some of the best journals in the field, or the flagship journals, I should say. And we aim to always present or publish our work in journals that are well known. So this is the team. This work has never been my own. It's always worked in a team, and we've always had support from the faculty of science. So we have Dr. Malik, who's been with us for 10 years, and Dr. Masikani, Dr. Eric, recently Dr. Koza on the top 4, and then students below that. So it's been a great team to work with. They are, very dedicated and highly skilled. I would also like to thank Ms. Judine Govender for the work on the microscope. She was involved in getting the room ready and in doing all the admin work, and it really was a journey full of challenges, but ultimately we've achieved what we wanted to. So I'd like to acknowledge and thank the management of the University of Zululand for allowing me the opportunity to work in a field that is so exciting, and it has allowed me to, travel a lot, meet new people, and Prof. Kati is one of them. And it's been a real pleasure to work with people in this institution, and to achieve what we have. And it makes you, want to do more, having the support. And again, I go back to what I said at the beginning. We are young and new players in the field, research and innovation. But we have with the right goals and support, we can punch above our weight. And we have punched above our weight through the chair and through other initiatives in the university. Definitely the Department of Science and Technology, Science and Innovation, so I say, who funded the chair, and through the NRF, and through our international funders, the Royal Society. And we have also a small-scale collaboration with the industry through SASO. And I should thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Prof. Prasad. It's most appreciated. Thank you so much. And congratulations for your V2 rating. Yeah, I did. At this point, I think we proceed in our program. We want to call upon Mr. Dave Perrett. The floor is yours, Monsieur.
morning, everybody. Firstly, thank you, University, for allowing me to say a few words on the instrument and its applications. I also like to thank you for entrusting us in the purchase of this instrument. I don't think many of you understand the background to the whole instrument and how one has to put it together. It takes a very long time. It requires a lot of effort, and I thank Professor Naresh for that, because they really put a lot of effort into preparing the instrument. Just wanted to say a few words about who Joel is, which is the instrument manufacturer. Joel is a Japanese manufacturer of the electron microscope. They've been involved in electron microscopy for this year. They'll be celebrating their 75th year. We have many installations in South Africa on both SEM and TEM, as well as micro probes as well. I'm not from Joel. I'm actually from a company called Anstrom, which is the distributor for Joel, and we've been the distributor for I think 25 years already. With that, we also supply other equipment which are attachments or sample preparation for these type of instruments, really depending on the application that you're using. So I think what is important to understand in the background is the requirements for successful installation. I think we forget that we had a few things that we kind of hurdles one had in place at the time when we had to install this instrument. One of the major things was COVID. And we all forget about that. COVID pretty much was 2 years and the world came to a standstill. So we had to try to install this instrument during COVID. So people couldn't fly, people couldn't do anything. It was very difficult. The other thing was, at the time, there was a lot of protests, student protests at the time, so we couldn't access the university. And I think the major one, which we all continue to enjoy at the moment, is load shedding. So the instrument requires a very clean and stable environment. When we talk about clean and stable environment, what we're talking about, it has to be, we're talking about a high resolution TEM here. There has to be no vibration in the laboratory. And the university really invested in a nice laboratory there. There has to be very little electrical fields, very little magnetic fields, because that will interfere with your electron beam. So I think we can tick that one off. We have achieved that. Well-trained operators. We've spent a lot of time training. Don't see you around.
Is that the machine?
Is it the machine? Okay. We've trained him, but the training hasn't stopped. And I think Professor Katish was mentioning that there's a long-term investment in training and research. So it's a continued thing. This journey hasn't stopped by purchasing the instrument. This journey is going to continue for the next 10 to 15 years. So training is very, very important. And new techniques are coming out, new ways of doing things are coming out, and we're there to help you. I think Professor Naresh was talking about collaboration. If you talk to other universities and collaborating with other universities and other users, that's going to help you to improve your work and to get better results from the instrument. And most importantly, because it's a very expensive investment, one needs to look at a maintenance plan, which you have currently for pretty much for the next 4 to 5 years. So you covered, but after that, one has to continue maintaining this kind of equipment. So I think we could say we've met those requirements, the instrument's up and running and working, but as I said, the training continues. What I want to tell you about is what we have there is, we have a microscope, which is a 200 kV thermal shock effect, high resolution TEM. That is producing the electron beam. That is, you're going to get an image on the fluorescence screen, but to bring it into digital, we need a digital camera. So we've matched the Gatan Rio 16, so a 16 megapixel camera, so that you can get digital images. Together with that, which you can't see over there, but it's on the side of the instrument, is an EDS, which is an 80 millimeter square silicone drift. So you're not using liquid nitrogen. And that is there for your elemental analysis and your phase mapping. So what can you do with the instrument? I think the two professors showed quite a few different examples. Well, one of the things when we calibrate the instrument, we look at the silicone at 110, and we see that the resolution was pretty much there. This is a multi-purpose instrument. It's not dedicated to one application. It's there to service the university, it's there to service the community at large. This is the only instrument in the UKZN that has this high resolution. So you can support University KwaZulu-Natal, you can support Mangasutu University, all the other universities in the area, and you can help them and you can collaborate with them. Not only on a materials level, but on a biological level as well. This is just a polymer sample looking at STEM with a dark field and bright field imaging. What else can we do for the future? Tomography. We can look at 3D imaging. We can do in situ microscopy where we can heat and cool the sample. We can introduce liquid into there, especially understanding corrosion properties or whatever. We can also look at cathodoluminescence. People are researching photo devices or light emitting devices. One can look at cryo microscopy, where one can go down to very low temperature and see what's happening with the materials. And this is very specialized, but we can also do EELs if you want to go forward. I want to end off just thanking the university once again for their trust in me, trust in our company. There's only 4 high-resolution instruments of this kind in the country. Nelson Mandela is obviously the pinnacle because they have the highest resolution in Africa. University Free State, that we installed that one last year. Yourselves. We are busy with Sefako Makato University at the moment. They're looking at possibly nuclear medicine and nanomedicine. And then hopefully once the room is ready, we'll complete Lisa's instrument installation. Once again, thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much for the support, and hopefully, this partnership continue for many years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Dave. We'll proceed with the program. And I want to call upon the representative from the National Research Foundation, NRF, Nathan. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I'm Ruth Nathan Assessment, but with your permission, I'd just like to introduce myself and then hand over to my colleague. Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, guest speaker, and distinguished guests, Prof. Nurish Prasadu, colleagues, and all the students. My name is Mbai Munsei from the National Research Foundation, responsible for the National Equipment Program, and previously the National Nanotechnology Program. And I'm here just to say we followed the challenges that Prof has had with the installation of this equipment, and we're very glad to be here and to see that this laboratory is actually running. The NRF is very grateful for this opportunity and invitation, and as I said, very happy that we've come to this position and that the university has come to this point of launching. Our CEO, Dr. Fulufelo Nelo Amando, and his executives congratulated the university in this venture and significant endeavor. And I've been deployed here again by the NRF, and I'm here with my colleague, Mr. Nathan Sessman, who is now in charge of the research infrastructure portfolio and platform. And I'd like to take this opportunity to now just hand over to him so that he can convey the message we have from the university. Thank you very much.
Yamura, Gotani, Mweni, Sawona, Kibela, Tumela, Moshileni, Abusini. Thank you, Pai, for assisting me to remind us that indeed it is the start of Women's Month. And also, please allow me to introduce myself properly. The last time I was here, I was a director. I'm no longer a director, I'm now a manager. Now I see the empathy in your eyes, don't worry, it doesn't come with a reduction in salary. I hear there's going to be an increase, because the last time I was here, I was in charge of the Department of Science and Innovation sponsored Centers of Excellence, the flagship program, the National Institutes for Research, Development and Innovation. And now, at the age of 62, the NRF wants me to be responsible for optimizing the strategic implementation of research infrastructure. I think I'm up to the task because I'm not alone. So these funding instruments, together with the SACHI chairs, are located in a new department of the NRF called Strategic Investments, Innovation and Impact, called SI Cubed for short. Within SI Cubed, we are compelled to consider the broader context of our mission, and therefore we recognize that globally, science and technology are vital drivers of human progress. However, it is equally important for us to think critically and imaginatively about how we address the challenges of our time and space. In doing so, we need to make moral, intellectual, and spiritual sense of the past, understand the present, and bring clarity to the future. Hence, almost exactly a year ago to the day, on the 3rd of August 2023, I visited UniZulu for the first time. This is my second visit. And the delegation consisted of representatives from the Department of Science and Innovation, as well as the National Research Foundation. The delegation formed a small but significant component of a whole of government effort towards supporting the Sibusiso Vengu program, previously called the Historically Disadvantaged Institution Support Program. Furthermore, we were responding to a call to action in the Science, Technology and Innovation Decadal Plan of 2022, which obliges the DSI to ring-fence a portion of its resources for its flagship programs, namely the SACHI chairs, the Centers of Excellence, research infrastructure, and international cooperation towards supporting the historically disadvantaged institutions. During our visit, the delegation was asked a very tough question by the UniZulu representatives, namely, did we come to UniZulu with preconceived ideas? Like a good government official, I can neither confirm nor deny such, but would like to provide you with some information which will allow you to draw your own conclusions. A snapshot shows that between the year 2000 to date, the NRF has invested 324 million in UniZulu from across all of the NRF's funding opportunities. Between 2006 and 2015, the NRF has invested 11.8 million from its National Equipment Program and Nanotechnology Program in UniZulu. Financial support for students was, for example, 12.97 billion in 2016, and in 2023 grew to 25.42 million. I'm sure that it is not enough. No researcher that I know is ever happy with the amount of money that they get. That's why in chapter 6 of a very well written research paper or thesis, it says more research is required. Then we'll have more answers. In other words, you know how to keep yourself relevant, isn't it? you'd be failing me and all of us if you did not do that. In building on the above investment in UniZulu, it is the belief of the NRF that together we can forge a more productive partnership and working relationship with more efficient and effective modalities in joint pursuit of the aspirations of the Sibusiso Bengu program as well as the decadal plan. Honourable Vice Chancellor, we are aiming to make available 10% of the available grant funding in the Centres of Excellence funding instrument to HDIs, and of which the current budget of the funding instrument is 119 million, which means that for 2024, there was almost 12 million rand for the taking in 2024. We offered access to these funds to UniZulu through two modalities. Firstly, there's low-hanging fruit. We requested UniZulu to provide us with the details of those researchers located here and their projects which could benefit from collaboration with existing centres of excellence. We are confident that the requested information will eventually reach us. The same applies to the two existing National Institutes for Research, Development and Innovation, namely the National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Science and the Institute for the Preparedness and Prevention of Pandemics. Prof, we are busy. Pandemic X is coming. We just don't know when. So the kind of work that you showed us, definitely we are going to do. And I've taken some photos. I will be saying to the colleagues who are launching or working on this, there is a professor in the US who is giving us some aspirations. Do you know about this gentleman? Do you know about his work? Are you going to pursue alternative methodologies to Western medicine that is safer for human beings?
Exactly.
I thank you for that. So, Prof, again, we apply the 10% principle to the institutes, and the HDIs could benefit from around 10 million for this year. Now, I must tell you that the Pandemic Institute asked us for 6 billion rand. So we haven't got it. We gave them 60 million for this year and for the next 3 years. But imagine that is 6 billion rand available, of which 10% can come to HDIs like UniZulu. We wait for that list also. Then, secondly, as we have no control over the past and arguably also the present, the NRF requested UniZulu to cast vision into the year 2060 and work collaboratively with the NRF on creating a CLE for the future. We appreciate that such a vision will take time to initiate. But yesterday was a good time to start working on it, and we look forward to collaborating and co-creating that future CLE for UniZulu. In addition, the NRF is at an advanced stage of launching a closed and targeted call for South African research chairs to be established at HDIs such as UniZulu. Now I want to pause, because you hardly see a presentation which does not have that bullet point at the bottom about the NRF. This NRF, I don't know. It seems to reject proposals all the time from deserving people. I don't know what's wrong with my organization. Why do they turn down your proposal? Prof, we need to talk. So, that was the past. We're thinking that if we help you prepare your proposal, you should not fail. And hence the closed and targeted call to HDIs. The only competition is, Professor Vice Chancellor, it's your colleagues competing here on campus through you and whatever committees you have. That they then put together, here is our 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 20 chairs. And you say number 1 is this name, and it's going to be this prof on campus. And this is our number 1 priority. And it sounds like we've got some technology here that already, and I know I heard in the last visit, there's some good work happening here. Very, very good work. And maybe you need a chair. And some others that you are thinking about, but the money wasn't there. Now the NRF is guaranteeing you chairs. The second competition is, We're not dropping the criteria, the standards, nothing. Nothing is dropped. It's still a chair, as you know it. But you tell us the chair, and you tell us the priority. So if a chair is 5 million per annum, and we only have 5 million in 2025, you'll get one chair. But you don't have to apply again, because as soon as my colleague Nana Buadu has another 5 million, he's going to phone GBC or someone in research and say, the award letter is coming. Is the prof still around that's going to run it? Can we have a meeting? We'd like to launch. You only one application. We don't want to waste your time. You've got more important things to do, like finding those investors. Which people are you collaborating with? I did some bibliometrics and I see you very strong as UniZulu in working with Europe and the US, somewhat in Asia and other third world countries, and some in South Africa and some in Africa. Spend the time on the golf courses. And you know you have to lose, né? If you're playing with the funding. You have to lose, you can't win. No, you lose, you lose, you lose. You have to lose. And then you go have the coffee and the red wine and so on, and you sign the contract. Go spend that time there. You've got the expertise. Let us help you with less admin. So the call is going to come, hopefully in the second half of this year. It took a bit of time to put it together. And of course you need to find out what is in your MTF allocation. So that call is coming, and it is our fervent prayer that UniZulu will be ready. So I hope you hear that we're aware of the rejections, and we don't want those rejections, because I must say, I don't want to see those slides again. Even the NRF we get, so my section gets some red stuff there, that my section is not doing what the NRF wants us to do. So we want to create a government of national unity in research and human capability development. That we work together, so that, Prof, you are now like Steenhuisen, you are on the inside. You can't now stand here and stand here, because now you signed a compact with the NRF. You are part of the NRF in future, and all the other researchers. You are now going to be part of us. You can't have that old narrative anymore, because you help to co-create what you want. Lastly, the decadal plan requests us to redirect and award 30% of the research equipment grants to HDIs and universities of technology in the short term. Hence, we are very pleased that there's one application from UniZulu in response to the National Equipment Call for funding in 2025. My question is, only one? But the door is open. That's why the lady came to introduce herself. That's the keeper of the key of the door. Not me. I'm not a humble man. The ladies are in charge. Behind every successful lady, there's a hard-working man. Therefore, it should by now be clear what our preconceived ideas are and whom they are intended to benefit. And if it is not clear, let me make it very clear. We believe in mutual beneficiation and co-creation. Today, as we celebrate the launch of the HRTEM laboratory at UniZulu, we see the fruition of a massive and gutsy vision brought to life by the hard work and dedication of the collective efforts of a number of individuals and organizations. Your collaborative efforts highlight the transformative power of this facility. Some words I wrote down as the presentation flows. I'm excited. I see relevance. I see innovation. I see impact. I see the bridges being rebuilt, Prof. Not just between the West and the East, but between the NRF and UniZulu. I see multidisciplinarity. I see complementarity. Honorable Vice Chancellor, I was in Cape Town yesterday and I had to get up at 3 a.m. to catch a 6 a.m. flight to make the connecting flight at 10:35 from Joburg so that I could be here today. Tonight I'm on a 10 to 6 flight, which is the last flight. I will be in bed by 10 p.m. tonight. I hope you see my commitment to your institution. It is in the above. Therefore, on behalf of the NRF, I wish to extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who has contributed to making this vision a reality. We see this facility opening pathways for especially emerging researchers, and are they sitting over here? Are there students here?
Yes.
I thank you. I might not be around in 2060, but you will be. You are the future. I thank you. But also to strengthen the work of established researchers from UniZulu and beyond. I heard someone talking about, it was the gentleman from Armstrong, where the other facilities are, that this is the only facility in KwaZulu-Natal, in the kingdom, that you can benefit the kingdom, other universities, and others who wishes to pursue research in the direction that could be aided by this particular facility. And not just the province, the country, the region, the continent. First, colleagues, unless of course, Prof, there is a very interested person in some other country in the world who can offer you the euros and the stuff. Please phone me if I don't have the flight money. It is in the above context that I am reminded of Stefan Collini's book of 2017 called Speaking of Universities. In the last chapter, he considers the difficult question of who the universities belong to. He ends the chapter with the following, and I quote, "If there is any value in reflecting from time to time on the unanswerable question of who the university belongs to, perhaps it lies in this, in reminding us, amid difficult political and financial circumstances, that we are only the trustees for the present generation of a complex intellectual inheritance that we did not create, and which it is not ours to be allowed to be destroyed. I have no doubt that UniZulu, through this facility, will continue to be worthy trustees of the complex intellectual inheritance that has been entrusted to us. I thank you."
Thank you so very much, Mr. Seisman, for this very informative presentation. At this point in the program, we want to proceed to do a photo session.
Okay, wait, guys. Let's go. Yes, I'm ready, Prof. Let's go. Let's be happy. Okay, let's smile, let's go.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, let's smile, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Well done,
Yeah. Space is a bit small, so we can't take everybody and put sure, I'll wait.
Photographers don't miss the opening.
Where are you?
Yeah, try again.
It's also new.
Very impressive.
Remove this one. This is like maps. you know, and that the investor as well as how they work in cooperating with the industry.
I'm guessing that, good morning, colleagues and our esteemed guests. I'm guessing that we've already had the pleasure to be informed about this equipment. So here's our brand new baby, thanks to the support from Mutos and the rest of our colleagues. So here's the equipment. We are hoping it's going to be a fruitful journey. The support that we'll be getting from the industries and our sister universities nearby. Here's the equipment. Just a brief explanation. This is the type of research that we are conducting, and I'm guessing Prof. Nerich has already explained that we are focusing on materials that to target solutions with regards to renewable energy. So these images that you are seeing here, it's a representation of what we do mostly. These are the images that depict the materials that we are working with. Starting with this image here, if you can see all these tiny dots that you see here, those are actually atoms. That's how good the equipment is. It can zoom into high resolution, and we are able to determine the morphology of the materials. If you're interested in making rods, if you're interested in making tubes, if you're interested in making sheets, this equipment can also do that. And also you can able to determine the crystallography of the material that you are working with. So the nice thing with this equipment is that it incorporates all these, should I say, traditional methods of analysis. But the nice thing is you can do things visually. You'll be able to see as you analyze your sample what is actually going on. The tip of the iceberg is what we call the EDS system. So it's energy dispersive spectroscopy. So now with this kind of a setup, we'll be able to see the composition of the material. Let me make for an example. Let's say you've got gold and then you are not sure if the quality is actually good enough. So with this kind of equipment, you can zoom in at atomic level to check if the quality of the gold that you have bought is actually it is what we're expecting. And the type of research that we also do, for example, if we are synthesizing a material and we want to incorporate some impurities deliberately, this is also the type of system that we use to check the composition of the material. So it's a multi-purpose electron microscopy, and we are proud to be the owners of this equipment. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Dr. Maslani, this is just the main machine, but all the other peripheral items here,
So we've got supporting the equipment, we put it in that particular manner. So all that you are seeing here, it supports this microscope. So mind you, this works with electrons. And as such, you need to have a support system that is able to generate a high voltage. So we've got a high tension tank that helps to generate high voltage for the electrons to be extracted. We've got a gun there at the top that generates electrons. So this AC tank is helping to power up the gun there at the top. We've got 3 vacuum pumps inside the microscope. This is to assist the concentration of the electrons down the column so that you can concentrate it on your specimen. We've got a power cabinet there as well that helps to identify and be able to observe if the equipment is operating in good condition. And we've got a camera. It's unfortunate it's attached underneath. So the camera is a special type of a camera that can be able to that can be able to take the signals from the electrons and then help them to build up an image, the images that you are seeing here. We've got a detector. So from this screen, as I mentioned earlier, this is for it's elemental mapping rather. The detector is actually sitting there at the back. If you can be able to see, it's from Oxford. I'm guessing that David already explained some of the editing devices that have been included here. So basically, all that you're seeing there at the back is to actually support the microscope to be able to operate. And then all these other additives that I've mentioned. The EDS detector for elemental mapping, and then the camera as well, which is a very good camera. It's 4K. Very good camera as well, be able to get very nice images and good enough for publications and research. So yeah, that's clear.
So everything happens here in this room. So you do a lot of imaging. What do you do with it? How do you store it? And then secondly, how can someone who's not here access that information? And what are the protocols around propriety, etc.? How do you manage the information?
Okay, all right. Actually, it's a very good question. We've got our storage bank here on site that can only be accessed using one computer. So the site is not linked up to any network, so they cannot, no breach can happen with your data. So you can rest assured that the data that we generate for you is going to be protected. Secondly, with regards to accessing this this equipment, it's very easy. You can communicate through myself, through Federation, or through any of the colleagues in the university. We'll be able to we communicate with each other, so it's going to be very simple for us to be in contact with you. And then secondly, if I'm not mistaken, the equipment has already been added on the NRF database, so we can also be protected through those protocols. And then with regards to the sample, the nice thing that I forgot to mention with this equipment, we just need a very small sample. Even if you're sending a sample to us, we just need something like 5 to 15 milligrams of the sample, not much, just a very small sample. And if I can just give you, show you just an example. This is the sample grids. So we can store your samples for as long as you want. It's just a small sample. We can store it for a very long amount of time, and if you request for your grids to be sent back to you for any additional work to be done here on site or elsewhere, we can be able to ship this off to you as well.
You don't mind the follow-up question? Thanks for that.
Yes.
So, how much money is in this room at the moment? And two, what is the cost of insurance and what type of insurance?
Okay.
University. Yeah, no, it's
We
all
don't have
our
money,
it's
so
all
I'm
our
not asking what's in
database,
your
yeah,
wallet.
yeah. Well, the cost is close to 20 million. It's insured through the university.
As well as extended service warranty as well, we put that in place so that we are able to, it's going to give us ample amount of time for us to generate a lot of finance to sustain the human. We actually want it to be self-sustained with that particular manner. So with the extended service warranty, it buys us enough time for us to generate as much resources as possible for the equipment to be self-sustained.
Like you're thinking.
And this technology, it's not going to phase out anytime soon. Actually, it's a new type of technology, and we are hoping to roll in the industries nearby. It's just going to be one of our major concentration, the markets rather, if that makes sense, yes. So we are pretty sure that the plans that we've put in place guarantee is going to be self-sustained.
I underline self-sustained. Out of the university press.
Don't depend on that organization called the NRA. Ron wanted to say
That's another point as well. We are in the process of thinking about a business plan to keep this as a business and initial discussion on the and to see what sort of service we can offer to the industry and then advertising those services in a way that can allow industry to work with them.
Thank you.
So, question to you as one of the instrument manufacturers.
Yes.
Electron flux.
So 10 years down the road, there will be innovation. You're going to get high flux monochromatic navy tank. So can you just replace that and keep the rest of the equipment as it is?
Yes, that's actually one of the good things with this setup, especially the equipment from Dell. Everything is standalone. You can replace each and every part separately while the equipment is actually still running. So it's not, it's an integrated system, but it's very easy to replace each unit with a new one.
Yeah.
So it's fairly that
Yeah,
easy.
it's not like your when we were buying shopping, this is one of the main things. Like a Japanese car, it's very versatile, parts wise, and so it's concept. It's not you push the button and it doesn't work and you don't know what to do.
And the fact that it actually gives you an indication if there's something that you really start to think about, look into, it just doesn't die out of all of a sudden. So yes, exactly. So it gives you warnings in advance, so you can say, okay, now I should start planning to either service or replace the parts.
You had a question for me?
Well, I was asking innovations in electron flux is an ongoing activity. So 10 years down the road, you might have more powerful, more monochromatic electron flux generators. Can they just replace this and keep the rest of the assembly?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So upgrading is not an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, we have LT in the country that are running 30 years.
Yeah.
No problem. And we just upgraded, some of them we just upgraded from XP
Yeah.
to the latest software and things like that. So no problem.
Yeah.
The beauty about the manufacturers, not only us, but most manufacturers, because it's not a high volume product, most things are actually made tailor-made, custom-made. So if something needs to be made, that's why sometimes the parts take longer if it's specialized, because it's made by hand.
Very impressive.
Good luck. Prof. said people work with this.
Congratulations.